B-2 stealth bombers just sunk a ship for the very first time, in what was clearly a message to both China and the entire Pacific theater. Plus, TikTokers leaked some major upgrades for Russia's Su-57, and an iconic Navy aircraft lands on a carrier for the very last time. Thomas Mott, this is MachSquawk. Despite the media's focus, and I guess all of our focus on the Middle East the past couple of months, and rightfully so, the Air Force keeps trying to push all of us back to the Pacific theater. And that's why this brand new B-2 revelation that happened a couple of days ago is very, very big news. Earlier this past week, PACAF revealed that a B-2 employed an AGM-158C long-range anti-ship cruise missile for the very first time during Exercise Valiant Shield, adding not only that this unique cruise missile was launched from a stealth bomber, but it actually struck a decommissioned ship as part of a sinking exercise in what the military calls SINKEX. And this is a massive deal because it marks the very first time a stealth bomber has effectively test-fired an anti-ship cruise missile in its entire history. First though, super quick, I have not heard from the winner of the F-22 Raptor t-shirt giveaway I announced on my previous video about the F-35. Go back and watch that, see if you won, and then if you did, send me an email, I'll ship it out to you. But if I do not hear from the winner by my next video, I will draw a brand new winner for, again, the F-22 Raptor t-shirt from the comments of this video. So drop a like, leave a hype, comment F-22 to make sure you're re-entered. Now, the exact anti-ship cruise missile employed here is called the LRASM, derived from the Joint Air-to-Surface Standoff Missile, except this one is designed specifically to hit ships at very long ranges, potentially greater than 200 plus nautical miles. With PACAF saying the B-2 exercise represents a major step forward in countering maritime threats. As the PACAF 4-star Kevin Snyder said, quote, "The B-2's impressive performance underscores the U.S. military's commitment to adaptability and flexibility in the face of emerging security challenges. By prioritizing counter-maritime strike operations, we can maintain a decisive edge over adversaries, protect our national interest, and ensure the free and open Pacific that underpin our global security." Which, yes, is essentially general speak to, hey China, watch out, look what we just did. The struggle with the Pacific theater in particular is its vastness, as the Indo-Pacific region stretches over 1 million square nautical miles of open ocean. And that really emphasizes that distance is the name of the game. In the past, cruise missiles were mainly dropped from older B-52s, with the Buff's external pylons capable of carrying up to 20 of the ALCMs, or air-launched cruise missiles, per plane. But now, putting a ship-killing cruise missile inside the internal weapon bay of a stealth bomber like the B-2, and suddenly you have the ability to carry and then employ a ship killer anywhere over the Pacific with potentially not being seen on radar. And of course, with our main Pacific adversary potentially being China, being able to reach out and touch their ships is a very, very big deal. Chinese naval buildup the past couple of years has recently surpassed the US's in total size, with the PLAN's Navy combat ship capability estimated to be over 230 strong. And while the US has led in nuclear-powered carriers with 11 for a long time now, China now has 3 operational carriers with plenty more on the way. And so naturally, being able to reach out and touch enemy ships is a very, very big deal. The fact that B-2 can do it off of radar, also a big deal, but it also means that if a B-2 can launch the cruise missile, that means the upcoming B-21 can as well. And with the Raider well ahead of schedule, as we talked about in a previous video, plus the Air Force's plan to buy and build at least 100 of these with a potential for even more, proving a stealth bomber can fire these anti-ship cruise missiles remains a huge accomplishment, not only for Pacific Command, but the Air Force at large. Now, moving on, but staying very briefly with the B-21, there is a serious ongoing debate right now between aviation enthusiasts as to whether or not the Raider is actually going to perform a serious flyover, a revealed flyover, over the America 250 festivities for 4th of July. Because Northrop Grumman's first social media post on the whole matter seemed to hint a couple of days ago the Raider would attend America 250. But that was very quickly shot down by the Secretary of the Air Force, saying the B-21 had just begun air refueling testing and would not make the trip from Edwards Air Force Base to DC for the 4th. However, Northrop social media then posted this video 15 hours ago with the caption, "It takes a lot to blow out 250 candles. We're on it." Again, clearly showing that they are talking about the Raider. You can't debate that. That's the Raider right there. America 250, like, what is going on? But then again, after this second social media post, TWZ reached out to the United States military and asked the Air Force, is the B-21 going to be over DC this weekend? And the Air Force came back and said, no, it is officially not going to be there. And so I guess unless this is a very well-coordinated conspiracy, or whatever you want to call it, inside the United States Air Force to surprise the public, which I still think it could be, as it stands right now, the Raider will remain off the radar this weekend, which I guess is exactly what it's been designed to do. Now moving on, but staying with the idea of aircraft employing brand new weapons, and there is a very interesting update out of Russia for the Su-57 Felon. as Russia's only 5th generation fighter has now been photographed with a very unusual external weapons loadout that shows short-range air-to-air missiles and a previously unseen targeting pod, with TWZ writing, quote, "Well, we can't say for sure, we may have just gotten our first look at the Su-57 equipped to counter the Ukrainian kamikaze drones and cruise missiles that are now a regular menace to air defenses increasingly deep inside Russia." But how we actually got these photos might actually be the more interesting story, as apparently they surfaced first on TikTok as a pair of what appears to be teenagers posed for pictures both alongside, very close to the Felon, and even inside the cockpit of the Russian 5th generation fighter, and what many people are saying must be some sort of unofficial Russian tour of the base. And when you dissect these photos, they provide us with a look at a pair of R-73 and R-74 AA-11 Archer, short-range air-to-air missiles right there under the wings, which experts are saying were designed to hunt and shoot down the ever-growing Ukrainian drone threat. Steamsy would add, however, quote, "While this certainly seems likely, we should not rule out some other possibilities, including a Felon involved with some kind of weapons trials. On the other hand, it is unusual to see Su-57s in operational service or otherwise carrying short-range air-to-air missiles externally. After all, the jet does have internal base specifically for this purpose." As a whole, the Su-57 is the prize of the Russian Aerospace Forces, or VKS, but production of these F-22 Raptor Challengers has always been a struggle, with only 9 Felons in service as of early 2023, along with more than a dozen pre-production prototype aircraft that roll the assembly line not equipped for combat operations. While we don't know exactly how many Su-57 Felons Russia has or are combat capable or able to fly right now, we do know in recent years they have been flying combat missions over Ukraine in the defense of the Russian Air Force, as the Felon is the only operational Russian fighter available with any kind of meaningful number of active electronically scanned radar arrays, making the Su-57 perhaps Russia's best and most effective aircraft at not only tracking, but targeting incoming drone and cruise missile threats. All of which, of course, is very interesting, but the TikTok photos also revealed one other new revelation, and that is actually the hardened hangar or bunker the 57s were actually sitting inside, and that appears to be a new Russian upgrade as well. This particular Russian airfield is about 250 miles away from the Ukrainian front lines, but before the war, they did not have any sort of hardened hangars. And this one in particular was likely installed sometime back after June of 2024, when a Ukrainian drone successfully hit and damaged, according to satellite data, a parked Felon on the airfield's tarmac. And obviously, with the ever-expanding capability of Ukrainian and just drones in general, making sure Russia's most prized aircraft, their 5th-generation fighters, as few as they are protected, clearly was priority number one. All in all, though, experts made it very, very clear that this is all circumstantial evidence, right? These are pictures from a TikToker. We don't know for sure exactly what missiles are on the wings or why they're there or if they're being employed, but the evidence does suggest, it's a key factor there, that Su-57s are flying combat missions, obviously over Ukraine and Russia, and they're likely a heavy part of the anti-drone, anti-cruise missile Russian defense. Now, moving on to last but not least, although the theme does apply, the Navy's last C-2A Greyhound has flown off an aircraft carrier for the very last time, ending its 60-year carrier onboard delivery mission, which now be passed over to the brand new CMV-22B Osprey. Which does make it worth noting this was also the last ever catapult launch and arrest landing for the COD mission, as the new Osprey is a tilt-rotor aircraft, meaning it can simply land on carrier decks like a helicopter and not have to touch the arresting wire. C-2As, however, share their DNAs with the original E-2 Hawkeye, which first started flying back in the 1960s and has successfully flown the passenger, mail, and high-priority cargo mission for the Navy aircraft carriers since it first flew back in 1964. And while technically Greyhounds will still be flying for at least another year according to the Navy, they will no longer be landing on carriers. This is officially the end. And that leaves the work up to the Osprey, which besides the lack of needing an arrest wire help, does carry significantly more fuel, which can extend the aircraft's range to over 1,000 nautical miles, a huge upgrade over the Greyhound. It also has a much bigger cargo hold, which is a very big deal for the Navy, as it can actually carry one F-35C Pratt & Whitney F-135 engine, something the C-2 obviously could not do, and will be a major upgrade for the overall COD mission. All in all, though, it is sad to see the iconic Greyhounds officially head to retirement and go to the boneyard, but we're talking about upgrades here. The Osprey technically is a very big win for the US Navy. They're excited. It'll be very, very cool to see going forward. Now, of course, plenty more stuff happening in the next couple of days and weeks here on MachSquawk. I appreciate everybody liking, subscribing, hyping. We're over 10,600 subs strong and growing every single day. If you like the show, the format, quick and easy consumable military aviation news, drop a like and be sure to subscribe. I'm Thomas Mott. Plenty more stuff happening after the 4th of July weekend. Hope you guys have a great and safe weekend. This has been MachSquawk.